Talk no more, none of that shit. I'm gonna let him say
Let's go, hey.
got me started. Wrist frames carded. Pull up double parking. Don't even pay like I'm the owner. My young niggas retarded.
Yo, what up, guys? We're on the clock. It's Caleb back again with Kam and Julian, the regular 6-month madness crew. Here with week 2 of the show. Last week we kind of laid the groundwork for how the season is going to kind of go. And this week we're talking strictly hoops. And we're going to get right into it and toss it around the horn with a little bit of an early top 5 big board from all of us. I feel like this would be a fun way to start the show.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to start with the obvious consensus number 1 pick, which is not always a bad thing in some classes. I'm going to take Cooper Flag number 1. I think is a generational talent. It's too easy to not have him anywhere other than number 1. But I think you have to at this point. He just hasn't done anything to prove otherwise. Harp at 2. I think Dylan Harper's the best guard in the class. I think it's tough with the Rutgers guys because they haven't played anybody yet. So I don't really want to start, preaching these guys as the next coming of, John Moran or whatever. But I do think Harp's the real deal. I think he's got all the tools with it, you need from an NBA guard. Love his footwork, love his patience, love his talent. I had Drake Powell in my top 5 preseason. He's no longer there, unfortunately. I'm gonna go Ace Bailey at 3. I'll let Cam talk a lot about Ace Bailey because I know Cam's a big Ace Bailey guy. Shout out Georgia. Kaman at 4, best big man in the class. And then I was watching Illinois Bama back today because I didn't get to watch it last night. I'm gonna put Jaka Chunas at 5, man. That might be bold, but I think he's played more comp than Igor Demine. I think it's a little too early to say that for Trey Johnson right now. I think he still has a little bit to work on. Casper just looks like a pro guard, man. Like his playmaking is so real. His footwork is real. I know he struggled a bit in the second half of that Bama game, but it was his first, big game of the season. I think he played well. So that's my top 5.
Cam, you got your top 5 for us?
So a pretty similar top 5 actually. Number 1, Cooper Flag, of course. How can you go against it? 17-year-old doing whatever he wants against even Kentucky. Number I got the hiccup, sorry. Number 2, I have Ace Bailey, Atlanta's own. What else is to say? I feel like there's a lot of talk about him as an on-ball guy, but I don't see that. I think he's going to be a super, super lethal off-ball weapon for any team that he goes to. I think the movement, shooting, and the ability to just be a dangerous cutter with that kind of athleticism and being around 6'10" already at 18, I think that's where his value will lie. Number 3, I had Dylan Harper, his teammate. So Rutgers is looking pretty special. He has unreal rim pressure and crazy bag. Shout out to Jeremy for putting out that article, making that case for him. Number 4, I have Kasprish Jakachonis. He's too impressive, man. 6'6", legit 6'6", amazing passing, legit shooter, even pre-NCAA. He's a ANGT killer, overseas killer. He just performs everywhere. He's only 18 as well and is killing for Illinois as their best player, it looks like, honestly. So then 5, I had Drake Powell, like my boy, but had to move off that. I'm end up having VJ right here for now. Tonight's a big game for him against St. John's. His athleticism and two-way potential with the off-ball chops I think that's what gives him the top five nod right here for me. But it's early, of course.
He's six for me for what it's
100%.
worth.
I like it. I got Cooper Flag at one. Unreal motor. Been really impressed by him, especially offensively. Um, I think that there's a lot of stuff there that could be really special with some time. Obviously can't mention the big game against Kentucky. That's gonna, definitely be a cement on his draft stock towards the top. Um, Ace Bailey at two for me as well. 6'10", can get his own shot off the dribble, but like Cam highlighted, really, really special in terms of his potential to be like a KD-esque off ball, like movement shooting presence, at that height, which is something that, that's always exciting, especially when he can make shots that are tough as what he can take sometimes. Um, Third, I got Igor Daman. Um, I feel like this is a like kind of like a no-brainer to me. I really liked him in the preseason with a like really like and being honest, like limited um looks past like, like FIBA stuff. I hadn't really seen like I hadn't dug too much in, but I knew from what I saw, and I didn't really feel like I had to, because I was really impressed by him, and I thought he was going to be a top 10 prospect coming into the year. Obviously, everybody else has now realized that we were right on track with that, and I think he's been really impressive. And at 6'9", 6'8", can play a multitude of positions. Has been shooting the ball really well. By at least some standards, not a great percentage, but you just like to see him shooting step back shots, taking in rhythm jumpers. But I think the stuff that's been most impressive is his IQ, and his basketball feel. I think he's going to be a really special lead guard, at times in the NBA next year. You know what I mean? I think we're going to see that type of return. So no reservations about him being the third player on my board and giving Ace a run for his money early this year. Um, I got Dylan Harper four. He's been extremely impressive. It's hard to keep off a top five at this point. I think you're kidding yourself if you don't see, um, I mean, a lot of people are talking about the rim pressure, but I think his footwork, his patience, all that stuff, and then also his physicality, his willingness to, you know, he's really creative around the basket. So I think that, his willingness to really bet on himself, in terms of like his ability downhill as like early has been really exciting as like a young player. So he's somebody that's got to go top five. And then I'd Kasper Shakachonis as well. You guys talk a lot about him, and he's somebody I have at fifth. And another bigger lead guard who has tremendous feel. I think these guys are, um, definitely needed right now in the NBA, in terms of having that size and versatility on both ends. I think Caspers and Igor both have a bit of way to go on defense, but they've been both playing phenomenal offensively.
I mean, I'm surprised for anybody else to see Igor at three, but I know you had him top 10 before the season even started, so I figured you'd be the first to make the leap on that one.
Yeah, I just think that in terms of like 6'9" mega guard prospect, even though the shot hasn't been as dynamic as I think we want it in terms of like a catch and shoot consistency. I mean, he's shooting 50%. So it's been really good. But definitely just want to see that continue to like stay around there. And from game to game, especially once the games get more difficult, like that's where he could fall a little bit. But yeah, I think I just got to put the stamp there and say this kid could probably be like, people are saying it like, he could be an interesting like guy in terms of like fit if you need a lead guard and you want to like invest in long term like project, like he could be interesting at any spot in the draft.
But you want Igor. I got him top 10, and right now he definitely is making a case for top five just because of the production and, like you said, such a valuable skill set.
Hmm. Yeah, it's needed. I got I'm gonna move us into faces in new places. Where we're gonna be talking about transfers again. There's our a beginning rotating segment where we're all kind of chip in on this one. I'll start it out. I think we didn't talk a lot about that Kentucky win over Duke. last week because we were kind of setting the groundwork for just generally the segments. But I'm gonna talk about Kentucky as far as faces and new places goes. Um, basically, as we knew coming into the year, all of their top contributors are transfers, and also their coach, in theory is like kind of like a transfer. With Mark Pope coming over from BYU. So it's been really impressive to see this group gel. Starting off the season 4-0. And I mean, just across the board, like Kobe Bryant has been really impressive in terms of like doing a ton and really affecting the game on really low usage relative to like the production he's been having has been super impressive. Um, Jackson Robinson has tuned it up the last couple games, is starting to get going as a scorer. Andrew Carr has been really steady and impressive, as has Amari Williams and Lamont Butler. All three of them have been really, really steady. And to no surprise, especially to me, but I think Otega Owe being the X factor for this team at the two spot, providing that defensive punch alongside Lamont Butler has been super fun. He's such just a ridiculously effective player in terms of all the things that he's able to do on defense and then shooting, 6 for 11 from three. You'll take it.
How many NBA players do you think they have on that roster right now?
I think they have at least three with Owe Jackson and Brea. Long term, they could have four because I think Garrison's that talented. Um, Carr could be an interesting case. What I mean, as we get into the year, we'll see how that 3-point shooting sticks, but he's been somebody who's been really, really good. We all thought he was going to be really solid preseason, and um, he has. I think Amari Williams even has a case with how he's been able to play. Yeah, he's been able to play a multitude of roles for them and be able to get the ball in his hands a lot. Looks like they're almost using him like Duran Holmes was almost used at Dayton, and it's been interesting to watch. And it's been effective. That's the biggest thing.
I think it's funny before I get into mine. Like a lot of people looked at what they did in the transfer portal and were like, oh, Kentucky just brought in a bunch of guys. Like this team's not going to be that good. They didn't bring in a superstar. But then when you watch them play, like, man, like every single guy on this team at any moment can beat you on the court. And
Hmm.
like, sure, they don't have a superstar, but they don't need to because on any given night, any one of those guys can give you 15.
Yeah, I mean, they have like you said, they have the number one most efficient player in the country. So I think by all accounts, that is a superstar when you're able to have a guy that can space the floor like that. And I'll put the narratives out there now. I think Kobe Bryant has a little bit of like a more modern like Desmond Bain to him, a little less combo guard. I think you're looking at somebody who's got like that potential to take people off the dribble pretty effectively, maybe run an offense on occasion. But especially run an offense to be able to get himself into a spot to get a catch and shoot look or even something off a screen. Like that's basketball. That is best. And he's been just phenomenal.
Yeah, you people usually pinhole guys who are shooting 50% from three as just catching shooters. He is not. He is
No,
not.
no. So I definitely think that he's got a little bit of that Desmond Bain versatility to him in terms of being that knockdown 3-and-D shooter, but also having that versatility to get to his bag in the mid range and, get to the basket. And I think he's also like at 6'6", 6'7", like got a lot of beef to him, where Desmond Bain's a little bit more stocky. I think Bray has got a little bit more of that actual natural size to him in terms of height. So yeah, we'll see.
All right, well, I'll get into mine now, I guess. I went with a guy that I actually thought should have been drafted last year. I had in my top 60. The scoring hasn't been totally consistent, but that's not what impresses me with St. Thomas. For me, it's the passing that's really, really popped. He just has these stretches where he makes good reads for a solid 5 minutes straight and just keeps the ball moving and finds open cutters. You know, fakes defenders. He does a really good job of utilizing his three-level scoring to create for other guys, which you don't see a lot, especially from a guy who's generally viewed as more of a forward. Um, I think it was expected he was going to be the star of the team. And again, like I said, the scoring hasn't totally panned out every single game this season. But I think as the season goes on, and I mean, we talked about it preseason in our unreleased Big Ten pod that like he's going to be the best player on this team. And I think as the season goes on and teams start to try and take away the passing, we'll see him start to put up some crazy scoring numbers because he can get to just about anywhere on the court. Um, I would like to see him a little bit better from behind the arc if I'm being, nitpicky. I think that's a common theme with a lot of top prospects right now, though. Not saying that St. Thomas is a top prospect yet, but um, I think in general, just like the versatility that he provides, I mean, on both ends of the floor, we talk about it all the time. Like, we love two-way guys, and he's another one of these two-way, three-level scorers who also just reads the floor so well. So, yeah, I had to give St. Thomas a shot at some point.
Yeah, I mean, that's completely fair. He definitely deserves it. And like you said, we talked a good bit about him in that unreleased Big Ten pod. Obviously, hoping next year that we'll get all those previews out, and have all of them, stacked full of film and insights for you guys next year. We got Cam to close it out with this segment with his new face and a new place to highlight.
So I had to go with starting point guard at Memphis. Penny's new transfer, PJ Haggerty from Tulsa. He had an amazing redshirt freshman year, and he doubled up. He doubled down, and now he's averaging around 26, 5, and 3, I believe. He's special at getting to the rim, man. I mean, even in that Alabama exhibition, he uh he looked super, super talented. Getting to the rim, good positional size at around 6'4", 6'4", and shot isn't like he's a high volume 3-point shooter, but he knows how to score. He just knows how to score, and being at Memphis, averaging 26, 5, and 3 as a redshirt redshirt sophomore is extremely special. Him transferring, I think he changed that Memphis team a little bit. A lot of people were very skeptical about what Penny's gonna do with a brand new team again, but he's shown he can take those reins, and Memphis is like they're poised to win the AAC this year and be even better than they were last year.
100%. Yeah, I agree. PJ Haggerty's definitely um even got maybe even some draft case to him. We'll see how the season continues though. But he's been balling nonetheless. I got a segment here that we're gonna have weekly. It's gonna be Caleb's Cerebro Sports Players of the Week. Shout out to our sponsor Cerebro. One of the best places around to get data in terms of basketball prospects for the NBA draft. Also, if you're doing historical database work, like this is where it's at. So be sure to check out the link in the description to find out more about their insights that they can offer you there. As far as the insights that I've gotten, nothing too crazy this week. I just kind of wanted to do a broad sweep. I had 6 guys I wanted to highlight, 3 freshmen, 3 sophomore. And I also had some shout outs I wanted to give because, last week I didn't have the Cerebro data. So I just wanted to, give some shout outs to some analytic gems out here. First off the bat, Jacob Coffey for Virginia has been really, really, really special. Just in his role as like kind of like a bigger 3 and D, like forward. It's been super exciting to kind of see his game expand this year as a sophomore. He's really growing into his shot. His shot confidence is really through the roof right now. So I'm really excited to see how that continues for him at 6'10", maybe see that volume uptick. And then just defensively, really impressive. Been somebody who's kind of turning a lot of people's heads in the draft community just because of some of his efficiency. Shout out to Igor Demin. I had him as well on there. And I had Trey Johnson of Texas, who has been fucking just killing. Like, excuse my language, but I mean that's the only way to describe it. 25.3 points per game for any freshman is absurd. So yeah, it's been pretty ridiculous. Like 4.7 three-pointers made per game on 58.3%, which is crazy. And he's also getting in the line 15.7 or no, that's just field goal attempts. He's also getting in the line 3.3 times per game, which is a 21% rate. So that's like the one area where you could see him maybe improving as a scorer. But when you're knocking down shots like that in the pull-up game, there's no reason to go downhill that bit further, save the energy. Like he's killing. So yeah, super excited with his stuff. Shout outs, actual shout outs for Lachlan Brewer from Sacramento State, um, who's been shooting at ridiculous efficiency through 3 games for them. He's shooting 77.8% from three on 3 attempts per game. So pretty ridiculous efficiency. A 6'6" guard, you can kind of really just a spot up shooter, plays good on ball defense. And then shout out Will Riley, who's been pretty solid. He had a really good debut. Um, those are the freshmen. And then I had a couple of sophomores just quick hitters. Mackenzie and Bako. Go check out our Twitter. Paulius, aka Sheen ATL. Did some good work on for him this week that you should go check out. And it was really insightful. He also did some work on our page on Miles Bird, who's been just ridiculous. Cerebro rates him with a 19.9 RAM right now. The next best out of the players that I've listed so far would be Jacob Kofi, who has a 14.2. So just a different class of efficiency and impact for Miles Bird, currently averaging, obviously through the one game, 4 steals or 4 blocks and 5 steals. So that's crazy. A nine stock game mixed in with 8 boards, 3 assists, 4 for 8 from three. So pretty ridiculous in terms of efficiency. Nolan Winter, shout out Nolan Winter from my alma mater of Wisconsin. At 6'11", has been showing off his versatility, shooting the ball 60% on 1.7 a game through 3 games for them. So that's decent stuff and obviously improvement for him as he didn't get a lot of chances there last year. And then he's been just, solid on defense and solid on the glass. But it's really about like the full body of work for him as he's been just like a consistent contributor for them alongside Crowell. And I can expect that next year we'll see this kid like really hone his game and will probably be a draft prospect, I'm guessing, next year out of Wisconsin as a junior, or a transfer. But that's something I'm thinking that we'll maybe see in the future because he's hooping right now. Um, really super quick hitters: Paulius Maraskis, Dusty Stromer, Jaden Ross, St. Mary's, Gonzaga, UConn. All really solid sophomores that are performing. Jaden Ross, I mean, he just jumps off the tape, like he jumps off the screen. Somebody that I'm gonna have to monitor and may even get like a Andre Jackson type leap up there in the draft community as UConn pushes into March is my guess. So clip this because that's gonna happen. Watch. Jaden Ross calling it now. It's all you, Cam. Cams can't miss. What are we selling this week? What's in store? What's in stock?
So first we got the freshie out of Arkansas, Boogie Flan, Monstar. I didn't even think he was gonna come in and get this much playing time. He went ahead and just snatched all the chains on the team and he's starting. He doesn't care. He's currently averaging I don't want to misspeak. He's currently averaging 17 points, 2 rebounds, and 5 assists as a true freshman, fresh out of New York. Uh, the great thing about him is he was battle tested though. That New York league is super, super talented, super, super competitive, produces an insane amount of D1 prospects every year. So, we're starting to see some trends here with some of these freshmen. When they come in battle tested, it's real easy for them to come, or I wouldn't say easy, but it's very likely they'll come in and make an immediate impact, regardless of the school they're coming in. Uh, Boogie's just been doing whatever he wants on offense while also leading one of the best teams in the country. On offense, running the offense and getting everybody involved. They have plenty of talent. He's making Adou Thiero look great. Adou Thiero's making him look great. He's making Ivicic look great. They can get some more, consistent performances from the rest of the guys. They're gonna be an extremely hard team to stop, especially with the freshman point guard at the helm. We see it all the time. Freshman point guards, they can move that needle. Then my next guy, it would be the old head out of Marquette, Cam Jones. Feels like he's been at Marquette for 6 years. But man, he's a dog. I mean, 20 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists already, or 22 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists already this year. Kolek left, and it seems like
Big game this week. He balled out against Purdue.
Double double
killed
watch,
Purdue.
baby.
I mean,
Triple
picked
double.
Purdue apart. I mean, the kind of cerebral approach he takes on top of already having that explosive, dynamic ball handling style he has, and then obviously he's just a lethal offensive player. With the three ball, they don't really like Shaka's not a big midi guy, but he hits them, and then at the rim, he's unstoppable for some reason. And he's not even just this above the rim kind of athlete. He's just super crafty and picks his spots. And then we know really, really, really impresses me this year. It's just the passing. When you take that kind of passing leap, the league's calling immediately. He's gonna be able to really hurt you off the dribble, second side, primary, top of the key, transition, however you want it. Once Kolek left, I had questions about his playmaking last year when he was playing next to Kolek. That unfair, but I had questions, and he solved them immediately. He let me know that the IQ translates. It translates. So those are my two guys. I think the two NBA guys too. You're gonna see them on a lot of top 60 boards. Uh, I'm excited for this season, man. I'm really excited for watching Cam Jones, lead this Marquette team. Little depleted, but he's making it work.
He's a hooper. Like his bag in the paint at his height is unreal.
Killer, bro.
He's killer.
Killer.
I really like the comment you made on his approach to scoring, like how cerebral he is. um, but yeah, and I think it's a great parallel that he's made, or like more of a like relayed that into his playmaking. Just taking that patience is really shown this year as he's taken on that role of being more of a facilitator. Good stuff, Cam. I like both those guys for sure. Boogie Flan again, I was not either expecting him to really take on like that. Julian, winner and Weasel.
Yeah,
Who's
second
getting
winner
the
and
smoke
weasel of
this
the
week?
week. Uh, Kept it a little bit more simple this week. There's only one winner, one weasel. Winner of the week, another guy that no one was expecting to take off like this, LeBaron Philon. Um, the last two games against notably Illinois and Purdue, he was the best player on the floor for Bama for a lot of stretches of that game. I think you could argue Grant Nelson in the second game, but if 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 Mark Sears puts up a bagel and you still win by double digits, that says something. Bylon, the thing I love about him when I watch him play is his motor, man. The kid is just 100 miles an hour all the time, but it's not an out of control 100 miles an hour because if you look over the last two games, 13 assists, including nine in the win over Purdue, two
Mhm.
turnovers.
He's everything they wanted Jaden Bradley to be.
He's been attacking the glass on both ends of the floor. He's been a demon going over screens. Again, this is a common theme. I'd love to see him shoot the ball, but you know, given that he's doing everything else and playing at such a high level, like I'm just really, really excited to see what he can do. I think that he has stolen a starting job from two more experienced players this week. Um, sorry, Dan Holloway. Sorry, Latrell Wrightsell. Sorry, Chris Youngblood. When you come back, I think your spot's gone, man. I think LeBaron Philon is that starting guard next to Mark Sears for the rest of the season. And I mean, we saw shout out to Nate Oates as well, by the way, for having the balls to say, you know what, Mark, you're not playing well tonight. We're gonna run the freshie out there with these two experienced guards for the last 10 minutes of that game against Illinois. A lot of respect to that. Most coaches would not do that to their best player. Um, but
Politics.
I think it'll be good I think it's good for them for the season though. You know, I think it's good for Sears because it's like, you know what? Your spot's not safe. And it's good for the young guys you know, if you're playing well, I'll give you the opportunity. So I guess, you know, in another sense, I guess I'll make Nate Oates winner of the week, even though they smoked that game at Purdue. Speaking of smoked games, my weasel of the week. We said every single podcast, will they lose to Vanderbilt? Well, ladies and gentlemen, a Power Five team early in the season has already lost to Vanderbilt. Shout out the California Golden Bears, my weasel of the week, for not just
Read us,
losing,
Ben. Oh, read us.
not even losing to Vanderbilt. It's one thing, you know, you lose a 2 point game, whatever. They got they got the brakes beat off them by Vanderbilt. I mean, they were out of that game with about 10 minutes to go in the first half. And, you know, I get it. It's a Power Five matchup on the road, but Cal's a team that we expect to be significantly better than that. And then they had the audacity to go out the very next game and beat our Big Ten favorites, USC. So, Cal, um, I'm sorry for you know disrespecting Vanderbilt and Cal about in this Weasel of the Week, but you lose to Vanderbilt early in the season, you're the Weasel of the Week.
Yep, completely fair. We got Pick'em to round them out. I did awful last week. I went 0 for 5, like just straight up whiffs. All my takes were booty. Um, but I will say in my defense, um, I had a friend reach out to me asking for parlay advice and asked if Cam Jones was a good parlay for the over on 4.5. And I was like, assists. I was like, yeah, that's light. He's gonna kill Purdue guards. Like, he's gonna cook them. So in real life, pick them or like betting, I killed it this week.
If you just bet against,
100%.
if you put parlays against your picks every week, you will make a lot of money.
I didn't put parlays in. I just told people what
I'm
I
just
know.
saying. I'm just
And I
saying
know
from now
Cam
on,
Jones
man.
is a murderer.
Put
Killed
parlays
it.
against your own picks and make some money betting against yourself.
That's why this week I'm really trying to go against like what my gut really wants. Um, except for my gut just thinks that Duke's gonna win. So I got Duke in the 2 games we got him. So a little sneak peek. So tomorrow, or and when you're seeing this on my birthday, um, we have Wisconsin at UCF, my alma mater, taking on probably my favorite player in the country with Keyshawn Hall. I'm going to take Keyshawn Hall in this one, and the rest of those UCF dogs. They're rallying the troops. Everybody's playing well when they're getting in there for the most part. Um, so they've been a really fun team to watch, and will be an interesting team to continue to watch grow into an identity. They've definitely been a little iso ball at times here and there. But we'll see. We'll see how they continue to grow. They have the potential to be a really, really strong defensive team. So I think that Wisconsin is going to run into that. And I don't think that they have necessarily the top end talent to beat out against a team that's going to really go to their guys.
Yeah, I think it's a weaker version of what A&M put on the floor against them. And I think that was a really tough matchup and they played really, really well through that. This UCF group's resilient, man. They got so many guys that they can throw at you and they don't stop. I mean, they were definitely getting outplayed for a lot of that game against Texas A&M. And you look, and all of a sudden it's a 4 point game. And you look again, UCF's got the lead and they pull it out. You know, their guards are really experienced. Um, Keyshawn Hall is really, really talented. JJ Taylor's, making a name for himself over there as well. They're getting Mikey Lewis back soon. We'll see how that works, but this UCF team, I think we thought that they had a chance to be a top team in the Big 12 this year. I think that might be real. I think they might be a real team in the Big 12 this year. I also
Shout out
picked
to
them.
JJ Taylor. He's been all right. He's been all right. He'll get there. He's the hooper for real. Like he's a crazy athlete. And like that's the nice thing with him is like yes, he is like kind of like a redshirt freshman, but at least he didn't get injured last year. You know what I mean? This is like he's still perfectly healthy, Ben Ball, and so somebody that should continue, like I said, grow into his role. Um and yeah, they've been fun. We got Cam, we can't really hear you.
I say he's been vital. If you watch those games of USUCF, he's been vital.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's had some good defensive moments too. He's a good athlete, so it's he came up big in that Texas A&M game.
You want to go ahead and go to was that Duke, Arizona?
Yep, Duke, Arizona, also here on November 22nd. Um, I got Duke on the road here. This is a game at Arizona, correct?
It's at Arizona, yeah.
Yeah.
In Tucson, yeah.
Uh, gonna be tough. Last year, obviously, we saw Arizona beat Duke early last year. In Duke at Duke, I believe. Um, so that was a tough game. I think we'll see here Duke getting done at Arizona. So inverse of what happened last year. Cooper Flag's been great. Connor is got to get his game kind of rolling in terms of efficiency, but somebody who's going to be a real presence in any game with his ability to space the floor. Um, and yeah, Duke's been really impressive. I've uh I've enjoyed watching them. Like I said, Cooper is just probably one of the more enjoyable players in terms of just like focus in on him and watch him kind of navigate the game. Has been, fun to see him adjust to the college game. Um, should be a good test here against Arizona. There's a lot of really good wings on Arizona that can defend. So
I'm gonna switch my pick. I have Duke, but I was thinking about it. Home game for Arizona. I think they need this win bad. Um, I think they need it a lot more than Duke does, given that they're in the Big 12. I think Duke does not need as much in the ACC. I think it's pretty obvious they're going to be one of the top two teams in that conference. Arizona, I think they're looking themselves in the mirror after losing to Wisconsin like that. And I think if they lose back-to-back games, including the second of back-to-back at home, I think that puts a huge damper on their season going into conference play in a foreign conference. I think Duke's playing better ball right now, but a must-win game for I think it's a must-win for Tommy Lloyd, so I'm going to take Arizona.
that's fair. I mean, especially from like a offensive perspective, Arizona's offense has been still really solid. Wisconsin just dogged them, like you said. So I don't mind you switching. I actually like it. It gives me a chance to get an edge here. I had a bad week last week. We got on the 25th, Auburn at Iowa State. I got Auburn. Johnny Broom's just been fucking killing again. Excuse my French, but he's been dope, enjoyable to watch, super versatile. And they've also had some solid performances across the board from different players in different games. Like Miles Kelly's been phenomenal. And they've also had Todd Bedford, who's been pretty solid here and there. So
Don't
a
forget my
lot, a
boy
lot of
Chaney Johnson, bro.
Janie Johnson's been great. They have a lot of really good impact players. I was gonna toss it up to you, Julian, and keep it going though.
Give it over to Cam because I agree with you on this one. I kind of want to hear the other side.
Hmm.
I really only went against them for spite.
Hmm.
I just like they're a little overrated, tad, just a tad. Um, they could pull it out though, but I kind of like what ISU has. I think they're very balanced. I think they added a lot of size in the portal, a lot of usable size in the portal. I think they have plenty of scoring. I think they're and that the great thing about their guards is they're going to guard you. So you know, we already seen from Houston that these Auburn guards can get put in the locker. So you know, I'm kind of rooting against Auburn here because Auburn's an amazing team, but I think Iowa State they'll get it done.
Yeah, I mean, definitely two of the deeper teams in the country in terms of top end talent.
Sure,
Both teams got a ton of really, really
for
good
sure.
players. Should be a really good game. Speaking of, again, top end players, that's going to be the case anytime we talk about Duke at Kansas early in the year. Is it March already?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on, bro?
How about that for a
We're
friggin' late
spoiled,
November
bro.
matchup,
We're
man?
spoiled.
We've had what, UNC Kansas? Sorry, we've had UNC Kansas and Duke Kansas
Mhm.
and
Um,
Arizona Duke, and it's November.
I think if Duke beats Arizona, which I think they will, I think Duke's gonna keep it going and get the dub against Kansas later in the week. Two really, really big wins for John Shire, Cooper Flag, and that crew. Um, he showed up against Kentucky, and I think Kentucky is arguably better than Arizona. And I think they're right on par with Kansas in terms of what they can throw at you in terms of versatility and depth. So big test again. For Duke, obviously fell short, so I think it's a chance to bounce back. Here in these next two big games. Or Julian, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to talk because I did the switcheroo again. Because I initially had Kansas beating Duke, but given that, Arizona must win game, I picked Arizona. I don't think Duke's going to lose both of the games that they play this week. Um, and I think that this is the tougher one of the two at Kansas.
He
Duke's
says they
been
don't think that he you don't think they're gonna lose, but yeah, you picked them to lose both games.
no, no. I picked them to lose one of the two. I have them winning this one.
You have Duke against Kansas.
Yeah, I initially had it switched. I had Arizona beating Duke, or I had Duke beating Arizona and Kansas beating Duke, but I
It
decided
just
to.
definitely on the sheet. I was tripping. But yeah, I hear you. Um, I think they're gonna win both games. I don't think that they're gonna lose all three against Kentucky, Arizona, and Kansas. I think this team's got real big time players that are not gonna let that happen. Cooper Flag is a dog, bro.
What a
Y'all allow
slate to
me?
give some 17-year-olds though, right?
Yeah, I know, right? Great.
Him and Common.
Will y'all let me get on the John Shire hate train if he blows both these games this week?
No.
Yeah, yeah.
I got one, boys.
I'll take a little bit of hate, but then I mean it's like we're just gonna show you the recruiting class from next year.
It doesn't matter if you can't do nothing with it.
He does a lot with him, buddy. But we're not gonna do this though. It's not one of these spots.
Um, Houston at Alabama. All three of us got Alabama. Um, I'm gonna do a little switch up. We talked a lot about Alabama in the last two podcasts. What is the case, both of you, before we close it? What is the case for Houston to beat Alabama? Obviously, a little bit less talented, in my opinion, of a Houston team than we've seen in past years, but in terms of top end guys, maybe draft talent, but still a really, really good roster. Have put together some good games this year already. What's the case?
They brought back their boy Francis, who's easily one of the best bigs in the country.
One of my favorite.
Yeah, he uses the junkyard dog and he's extremely efficient in every area. Uh so now Roberts isn't doing too much. So now Teller don't gotta do too much. So now you have like a kind of sturdy front court, which is not that common in Houston country. Then obviously the guards are gonna shoot you out the gym. That's probably why they would lose. Alabama isn't the best perimeter defense wise. And they really rely on, those roamers and that the athleticism in the front court. And they really rely on LeBaron Philon. Kelvin Sampson kills freshmen a lot.
Hmm.
He knows how to torture a freshman. So, we'll see. His defense, he doesn't like games over 70 points. No one can get over 70 points against Houston, even if they beat them. So, Alabama, they've shown that they can be grinded down with ease. So I think that's why you would see a Houston dub right there.
Yeah, I think for me as well, it's we kind of saw Fletcher Lawyer and Braden Smith outplay the whole Alabama backcourt in that game. And I think if you're a team that's looking at Bama, I think that's the recipe that you're looking at, especially given that Sears is struggling early in the season. Houston's got a lot of experience at the guard position, and I agree with Cam. I think if the guards lock it up, I mean, the front court was nullified a little bit when their guards got outplayed. And we kind of saw it against Illinois when their guards got going. We saw Grant Nelson and Omarui and Darion Reed start to get going. So it starts with the backcourt. And I think that's the recipe to beat Bama. I don't know that Houston can do it just with the amount of guys that Bama can throw at you, but I didn't think Purdue could do it either. And here we are.
Hoffman
Yep.
Wren masterclass.
100%. Good stuff, guys. I hear you. I definitely think that it's a shaky start to the season for Alabama compared to what we maybe thought in terms of like a dominant season for Mark Sears, etc. But they still have a lot of really positives to take away at this point. So, good stuff, guys. We will talk again next week. Thanks you all for tuning in. Be sure to check out the links in the description to go check out thecenterhub.com. Check out all the articles we have to offer. Also, again, shout out to Cerebro Sports. Be sure to check them out in the description. You have a good one. We're off the clock.